What's up, guys, man? Hey, we're up with the continuously uploads. It's a beautiful day outside. It's an amazing day. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. And hey, we're getting closer and closer to college football getting back, man. I'm excited, and it's going to be a good look. And hey, I just want to appreciate everyone again that's been viewing the videos, that's just been tuning in. I highly appreciate it. And hey, today's going to be a fun one because we're going into my favorite positions to watch, the running back positions in college football. Just so if these names come up, you'll watch the games and you'll be like, oh, that's him. But these are the best running backs in all of college football, guys. And for me, I have in the top 10, I'm not going to keep it too long for you guys, so trying to make it short and sweet, best that I can. So, number 10, guys, we have the Kansas. Remember, I had top 10 Kansas running back and quarterback in the top 10, but I have Devin Neal for the running back of the University of Kansas, guys. And the last season he had 1,280 rushing yards, 6.3 yards per rush, 16 rushing touchdowns, 25 receptions, 217 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So those are pretty good stats, in my personal opinion. And there were 45,000-yard rushers in the FBS in 2023, and those only 9 averaged at least 3 yards per contact and at least 3.0 yards after contact, displayed both the quickness to properly hit the holes as they open and the strength to require multiple tacklers to bring them down. Of those 9, only 6 possess both the burst and finesse required to average at least 6.2 yards per carry, both inside and outside the tackle. And those only one caught at least 25 passes. And you guessed it, Kansas Devin Neal. Say hello to maybe the single most well-rounded running back in college football, like quarterback Jalon Daniels, the QB for Kansas. Neal was instrumental in Kansas program changing upset of Texas late in 2021. He had 169 combined rushing and receiving yards and 4 touchdowns that night. And he's been responsible for most of the Jayhawks' success since. He has rushed for at least 100 yards in a game 12 times and at least 1,000 yards in a season twice. He has forced at least 4 missed tackles in a season, and 4 missed tackles in a single game 15 times. We'll see what changes new offensive coordinator Jeff Grimes has in store for Kansas attack. But as long as he continues to feed number 4, things will go pretty well for them. And that is why I have him at the number 10 best running back. And number 9, I have Ott, the running back for the University of California, guys. In 2023, he had 1,305 yards, 5.3 yards per rush, 12 rushing touchdowns, 26 receptions, 196 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. Perhaps It's because he played for a team that went 6-7, but one of the most underrated running backs in the country, in my opinion, last season. And after a strong freshman year, 897 yards, 8 touchdowns. Ott broke in his season at Cal, averaged more than 18 carries per game and totaled 1,305 yards and 12 touchdowns. And he is undoubtedly the Golden Bears' best player. In fact, 4 of Cal's wins came from Ott have more than 150 rushing yards, a feat he accomplished 5 times during the 2023 season. Ott's decision to come back to Berkeley for one more year is a boom for the Bears, indeed, I would say. He should only improve from the this year in the 2024 campaign. Improvement isn't always linear in college football, but after a productive sophomore season, the sky is the limit for Ott in his 3rd season, and that is why I have him at number 9. And number 8, guys, I have Trevor Etienne. He used to be the running back for Florida, I believe. And last season, he had 753 yards rushing, 5.7 yards per rush, 8 rushing touchdowns, 21 receptions, 172 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. And in one of the biggest offseason transfer portal moves, Etienne moved from Florida to rival Georgia, immediately giving the Bulldogs a game changer at running back as they look to make another run at the national championship. And he is a highly productive at Florida, but he was never the featured back. He had split time with Montrell Johnson Jr. in 2 seasons. So he had 249 total carries for 1,472 yards with 14 touchdowns. He was more used as a pass catcher in 2023 with 21 catches for 172 yards and 1 touchdown. At Georgia, he has the opportunity to be the feature back in a proven system that values running the ball. The Bulldogs lost their top 2 leading rushers in Edwards and Kendall Milton, creating an opening for Etienne. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Through Georgia shares the ball among its running backs, as he explained in a recent interview on teammate Tate Radledge podcast, Real Talk Players podcast. He said, "I could stay, but running back 2 on a losing team to go somewhere, and possibly be running back 1 and win Natty." So that is why I have Trevor at the number 8 position of the running back position. And guys, number 7, I have the running back Donovan Edwards from the University of Michigan. In 2023, he had 497 yards rushing, 4.2 yards per rush, 5 rushing touchdowns, 30 receptions, 249 receiving yards. So Edwards' rapid rise to promise starting in 2022 when he rushed for 150 yards or more 3 times in the last 6 games of the regular season, and nearly 1,000 total yards on just 140 carries. And showed a bit as Blake Corum returned from injury in 2023. Corum was the Wolverines' reliable number 1 pick and produced 1,245 yards on 27 touchdowns that season. Edwards, however, still has a bright moments as he tallied almost 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, including a 41-yard score in the national championship game. Edwards said afterward that he played most of the season with a partially torn, I think it was a patellar tendon. And now with Corn off to the NFL, Edwards returning for his junior season, the stage is set for him to become one of the most electric and productive backs in the entire nation. So, moving on, guys. At number 6, I have Ashton Jeanty from the running back from the Boise State. And last season will surprise a lot of people, a ton actually, because last year he had amazing 1,347 rushing yards, 6.1 yards per rush, 14 rushing touchdowns, 43 receptions, 569 receiving yards, 5 receiving touchdowns. And his breakout bowl performance are always a portend of coming greatness, but they sometimes are exactly that. In 2022, the Frisco Bowl, as he rushed for 178 yards and a touchdown in a 35-32 Boise State win over North Texas. He has served as a capable back for George Haloni that season, but he had designs on something bigger. In 2023, with Haloni injured to start the season, he took the running back one job and literally ran with it, basically. So despite missing 2 games with the injury, he rushed 1,347 yards and 14 touchdowns, also serving as the Broncos' number 2 receiver in terms of both catch 43 and yards 569. He had at least 100 combined rushing yards and receiving in 10 of the 12 games. So that's legit. Perhaps most impressively, in the transfer portal era, he returned and he said, knowing the legacy I can leave behind and the impact that I can have to change people's lives is important, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that for a program that changed my life by believing in me when no one else did, as he wrote that in December. So his return plus the addition of former blue chip quarterback Malachi Nelson could give Boise one of the most dynamic offensive backfields in all of college football. And that is why I have him at the number 6 position. And moving into the top 5 of the most elusive and explosive running backs in the league, I have Taj Brooks, the running back from Texas Tech University. Last season, he had 1,541 rushing yards, 5.3 yards per rush, 10 rushing touchdowns, 29 receptions, and 69 receiving yards. And Brooks is back for a super senior year, which is a big win for Texas Tech, as the Red Raiders came off a season where Brooks rushed for 1,538 yards and 10 touchdowns and was a semifinalist for the Doak Walker Award, despite gaining only a total of 110 yards in the season's first 2 games. After that, though, the 5-10 230-pound bruiser reeled off 95 or more yards in 11 straight games, while becoming the only Power 5 back to force more than 70 missed tackles. So he is quite an elusive guy. And he did this despite a Texas Tech offensive line that struggled and an offense that ranked 64th nationally last season. So there will be a wholesale changes up front in 2024 with 5 offensive linemen gone and transfers from Toledo, Memphis, and Middle Tennessee, joining the mix alongside new offensive line coach Clay McGuire, a Tech Alma who worked for Mike Leach and Lincoln Riley. So Boyd will be a focal point for the Red Raiders offense for a team that hoping to jump back into the Big 12 contention, and he'll enter this season 1,167 yards shy of Brian Hansford's school record for career rushing yards. So that is why I have him at number 5. And number 4, we have North Carolina running back Omaron Hampton. North Carolina. So 2023, he had 1,504 rushing yards, 5.9 yards per rush, 15 rushing touchdowns, 29 receptions, 222 receiving yards, 1 rushing touchdown. So, the thing is, North Carolina went into last season wanting to place a much bigger emphasis on running the ball. Mission accomplished behind Hampton because he had a breakout sophomore season en route to becoming a Doak Walker Award finalist and earning Walter Camp First Team All-American honors, as Hampton rushed for 1,504 yards and second on the school's single season list with 15 rushing touchdowns while adding up 24 receptions for 222 yards and a touchdown. Hampton had 7 100-yard games, and his total rushing yards ranked 5th in the FBS. This season, the dynamic does shift a bit with Drake May gone and open quarterback competition set to begin this spring. Hampton is the most known commodity at North Carolina's offense. Conventional wisdom says defense will stack the box to stop Hampton and force a new quarterback project to be transferred. Max Johnson or Connor Harold tried to beat them. So that is why I have them number 4. Moving into the top 3, I have the Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins. Ohio State University. In 2023, he had 1,158 yards rushing, 4.3 yards per rush, 15 rushing touchdowns, 22 receptions, 149 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. I have him at number 3 because he plays in a much harder conference than the other ones do. So that's just my opinion. And after Judkins' blistering freshman season at Ole Miss in 2022, the idea he wouldn't be the nation's top running back as a junior seemed laughable, I would say. And he earned SEC Freshman of the Year honors and was a first-team All-League selection that fall while finishing a semifinalist for the Doak Walter Award. His 1,567 rushing yards tailed only Herschel Walker as the most by a freshman in SEC history. Judkins followed with a strong sophomore leading the SEC with 15 rushing touchdowns, but several of his other numbers fell off a bit. He now finds himself in a different but fascinating situation entering his junior season. The 5'11", 200-pound Judkins entered the transfer portal in early January and landing days at Ohio State, part of the Buckeyes' incredible winter personal haul. The interesting part is that he joins Henderson one spot higher in this season to form the nation's most accomplished backfield and he had 545 carries in his first 2 seasons, but now he has to learn how to share the ball with Henderson. But after his yards per carry average dropped from 5.7 to 2022 to 4.3 last season, Judkins could benefit from being fresher when he touches the ball. And that is why I have him in the top 3. And the second best running back in all of college football, also number 2, the Ohio State University, TreVeyon Henderson, Ohio State. In 2023, he had 926 rushing yards, 5.9 yards per rush, 11 rushing touchdowns, 19 receptions, 229 receiving yards, and 10 receiving touchdowns. So y'all can compare these two stats and see who you think is a better running back. So even though he wasn't 100% a year ago, Henderson led Ohio State with 926 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns in just 10 games. He also struggled with injuries as a sophomore in 2022 when he broke a bone in his left foot and underwent surgery. So it has been an emphasis that injuries have been a problem for him. But if Henderson stays healthy now and is ready to make his senior season the best one at Ohio State, as a freshman, he rushed for 1,248 yards and scored 19 touchdowns. And when Henderson has it all, breakaway speed, acceleration through the hole, and the ability to make defenders miss, the 5'10", 212-pound speedster had the 5th highest grade among Power 5 running backs last season. With the Buckeyes' addition of Ole Miss transfer Judkins, Henderson won't have to carry too heavy a load on the Ohio State backfield, meaning he should be even fresher and more equipped to riff off big plays in the second half. If Henderson can stay healthy, he's a dynamic player as there is in college football, and I have him number 2. But at the Oklahoma State University, I have Ollie Gordon, the second from Oklahoma State. So, in 2023, he had a staggering 1,732 rushing yards, 6.1 yards per rush, 21 rushing touchdowns, 39 receptions, 330 receiving yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So, Gordon, a 6'1", 211-pound junior, exploded on the scene last season. A true breakout story. He rushed for 308 yards and 2 touchdowns as a freshman, then began last season with a total of just 19 carries in Oklahoma State's first 3 games, including 3 carries for 12 yards and a 33-7 loss to South Alabama. The Cowboys retooled, centered the offense on the legs of Gordon, and magic happened. Gordon dashed off 8 100-yard games over the next 9, including a 2-week stretch in October when he ran for 503 yards and 6 touchdowns against West Virginia and Cincinnati. He became Oklahoma State's first Doak Walker Award winner, finishing the season with 1,732 yards and 21 touchdowns, including 5 against BYU, tying Barry Sanders' school record. With quarterback Bowman returning for his 7th collegiate season. Isn't that insane? and a talented wide receiver corps, including Rashad Owens and Brennan Presley. Returning defenses will have to respect the passing game, which could bolster the changes of another big season for Gordon and Oklahoma State, which reached the Big 12 championship game last season. Gordon returns has the Cowboys aiming for the college football playoff berth, and Gordon eyeing a trip to the Heisman Trophy ceremony. And in my previous videos, I thought it was the top 14 teams, but it is the top 12. It's top 12 teams, unfortunately. But if the Oklahoma State's quarterback can make smart plays and limit his interceptions, because Gordon's going to do his thing on rushing, and he is the best running back in all of college football. And that is my top 10, guys. And I just want to say, man, I've really enjoyed doing this thing. It's been fun, man. If you like this video, just comment, like, subscribe. I would highly appreciate it. And we're going to keep the videos going, guys. And, hey, it's been fun. I appreciate it, guys. And, hey, we're out. Again, peace, guys.